If your phone died tonight, you'd probably get lost in your own neighborhood. Now imagine finding your way across an entire ocean without a map, without a compass, without GPS, without even knowing what a country is. Sounds impossible. Ancient humans did it anyway, and their navigation app was hanging above their heads the whole time. The sun has disappeared, the fire is burning low, a small group of humans sits beneath a sky unlike anything you have ever seen. There are no streetlights, no cities, no airplanes, only darkness, and thousands of stars. One child points upward. The adults look, not because the stars are beautiful, because they might mean something. Tonight, humanity is about to discover its oldest map. For nearly 300,000 years, humans lived almost entirely by memory. They remembered rivers, they remembered mountains, they remembered watering holes. Every journey depended on someone who had walked the path before. But memory has limits. A storm can erase footprints, a flood can change a valley, a forest can disappear in a fire. How do you find your way when the world itself has changed? Look up. The stars do something extraordinary. Unlike rivers, they almost never move from one another. Night after night, year after year, generation after generation. The same patterns return. Some stars rise together, others disappear together, some never seem to move at all. Could the sky itself remember the way? Nobody knows who noticed first. No name survives, no story remains, but somewhere, someone looked up and realized the heavens were predictable. That single observation changed human history. The brightest guide in the northern sky is Polaris. Today we call it the North Star, but ancient humans learned something even more important than its name. It hardly moves. While every other star appears to circle overhead, Polaris stays almost perfectly still. Find it, and you know where north is. But Polaris was not always the guide we know today, because Earth slowly wobbles like a spinning top. Astronomers call this axial precession. One complete wobble takes about 26,000 years. That means different stars have taken turns marking north throughout human history. Thousands of years before Polaris, other stars held that role. The sky itself changes, just slowly enough for a human lifetime to never notice. How could anyone discover something so patient by watching again and again and again? Every clear night became another lesson. The stars became familiar faces. Ancient people grouped them into shapes: hunters, animals, birds, rivers, scorpions, not because the stars actually formed those pictures, but because stories are easier to remember than random dots. Modern psychologists call this pattern recognition. Your brain evolved to connect scattered pieces into meaningful wholes. Sometimes it sees faces in clouds, sometimes animals in stars. That ability became one of humanity's greatest survival tools, long before books. Stories carried knowledge. One constellation could remind an entire generation when fish returned. Another could signal approaching winter. Another marked the best season to travel. The sky became a calendar. The sky became a compass. The sky became a library. Australian Aboriginal peoples developed some of the world's oldest continuously used star knowledge. Their traditions describe celestial patterns that guided travel across enormous distances. Many of these stories have been passed down for thousands of years. Across the Pacific Ocean, Polynesian navigators mastered something that still amazes scientists. They crossed thousands of kilometers of open ocean without compasses, without maps, without GPS. They memorized the rising and setting points of hundreds of stars. Each star became a pathway across the sea. As one star disappeared below the horizon, another replaced it. Their voyages connected islands separated by vast oceans. European explorers would later struggle to understand how these journeys were even possible, but the knowledge already existed. It simply lived inside human memory. Could you cross an entire ocean using only the night sky? The Vikings developed their own methods. Clouds often covered northern skies, so they combined stars with ocean swells, winds, birds, and possibly sunstones that helped locate sunlight through heavy cloud cover. Navigation was never one trick. It was many clues working together. Every successful journey made the next one easier. Knowledge accumulated, Generation after generation, eventually humans began recording the heavens. Ancient Babylonian astronomers carefully tracked planetary movements. Egyptian priests watched the star Sirius to predict the flooding of the Nile. Chinese astronomers recorded comets, eclipses, and exploding stars with remarkable precision. The Maya built entire observatories aligned with celestial events. Different civilizations, different languages, the same sky. The Greek astronomer Hipparchus created one of the earliest known star catalogues around the 2nd century BC. He also discovered the slow wobble of Earth's axis, now known as precession. Centuries later, Claudius Ptolemy expanded those observations into the Almagest. For over 1,000 years, it became one of humanity's greatest astronomical references. Then came the age of exploration. Ships left familiar coastlines, the oceans became highways. Navigators measured the angle between stars and the horizon using tools like the astrolabe and later the sextant. Latitude could be calculated from the sky itself. The stars had become mathematics. Every continent became closer. Every voyage became slightly less uncertain. Even during the Apollo missions, astronauts carried star charts. Computers guided spacecraft, but stars remained an independent backup system. When technology fails, the sky still works. Why does your brain feel strangely peaceful beneath a sky full of stars? Researchers studying awe suggest vast natural scenes reduce self-focus and increase feelings of connection. Looking upward reminds us how small we are, yet somehow, how connected we have always been. Every civilization looked at the same sky. Every ancestor saw many of the same constellations. Every explorer trusted the same predictable patterns. The stars never belonged to one nation, or one empire, or one language. They belong to everyone willing to look up. Today, most people live beneath skies washed out by artificial light. Millions of children have never seen the Milky Way with their own eyes. The greatest map humanity ever discovered is slowly disappearing from view. But it is still there, waiting above every cloud, patient, silent, exactly where it has always been. The next time you step outside on a clear night, look up. You are seeing the same lights that guided hunters across frozen plains, sailors across endless oceans, pilgrims across deserts, and dreamers across every age of human history. We often say humanity conquered the earth. The truth is stranger. Before we learn to read the land, we learn to read the sky.